And we are live. Good afternoon and good evening to everybody who is watching this. Welcome to the very first live stream on this channel. I am TVS, and to the right of me is Gavin King. Say hello.
Howdy, gang. Big live stream here. And I'll let TVS take it away. But yes,
So, as you can see in the title and perhaps the thumbnail, we have finished going through every single Looney Tunes cartoon short ever made, including everything from the post-Golden era, as some people call it, as well as some of the other Warner Brothers Animation miscellaneous stuff. So, we're just here to just kind of talk about it. I mean, don't really know how much else there is to say. Just perhaps let some people listen in and perhaps maybe take a couple questions to both fans of our work if there's anybody out there that likes such things. So
yeah,
I guess I'll let you kind of start, just kind of maybe talk about how we got to where we how we started and where we're at now, that sort of thing.
yeah, cool. This was an idea that and TVS and I have always been like, we've been friends for a, a good few, I would say like around like, I mean, we've always known each other on YouTube, but it was around like late 2020 when we really started talking, and started like getting to know each other, and just going back and forth chatting about stuff, and as the years went by, so did our friendship, and what I mean by that is like it's gotten more and more,
Yeah, yeah.
and and I amidst my life and everything, this has been like a pretty big constant. Again, life happened for me. There were moments where I wasn't quite as active, but uh with not just like but like a lot of my other online friends in general, just because like life circumstances. But now we are like, this is our big thing. And around around I would say a year and a half ago at this point,
Hmm.
TVS approached me with the idea of because we've always kind of like fancy and entertain the idea of doing this YouTube thing together, and watching stuff, certain media that we appreciate together. He um he pitched the idea of, hey, why don't we, would you be interested in watching every Looney Tune ever made with me? And I'm obviously, that's not how you exactly asked it, but I was, that was like the general gist of the question. And um and I understood it was a huge undertaking. I mean, we're talking about thousands of Looney Tunes here. But I'm not usually one to take down a challenge. So um I I said, you know what, screw it, let's do it. And
Yeah,
um now, we started this in April of 2025, and now it is
yeah.
mid-August of 2026. So we've been doing this for a hell of a while. And granted, like, again, it's 1,000 Looney Tunes. It's going to, take up a good chunk of our lives. But I'm really happy it did, because we've grown closer in the process. I you know um we've become exposed to a lot of really rich animation history. I can tell you with absolute certainty that if I hadn't done this, I would not, really know much about who Bob Clampett or Robert McKimson were. And I can tell you honestly that I am all the better for it, knowing who they are. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the gist of, nothing's really interesting, but like, he just pitched it to me, and I was like, you know what, let's do it. And again, here we are. We've seen the good, we've seen the bad, and we've seen the ugly. And it has been, again, one hell of a journey. And to think that we were doing this right around, and I always tell TVS this because it's like a frame of reference. To think that we started doing this around when Sinners came out, and now it's it's August, and the end of Oak Street just came out this weekend. It's putting it into perspective like that, it's pretty dizzying. But again, I am just thrilled that we've done this. Truly.
So, kind of bouncing off of your point about Sinners, I might as well pitch in and tell my funny story about this.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to like get this started like I think the week after we did, and that's
Right.
because well, we never had like an official date, like hard date set at the time. But what happened was that April 17th is a significant date because and he mentioned Sinners because around that time, I was supposed to have driven up from my hometown to Irvine to go see Sinners in IMAX 1570 millimeter film. I had gotten
Yes.
tickets for it and whatever have you. But unfortunately, as I was leaving as I was leaving my house, I accidentally like backed my car into the gate.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
right.
kind of impaired my, confidence to drive up. So I just what I was gonna do was on the ride up, I was gonna call Gavin and just kind of talk about whatever it was we wanted to talk about.
Right.
But I told Gavin that I said, "Hey, I'm actually not going to drive up, but did you still want to call?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." And then when I got back from all that fiasco, I had just kind of said, "Hey, I'm home. Did you want to get started?" And he said, "Yes."
And the rest is history.
I'm actually going to take this comment from Alex Yoakum. Who is your favorite Looney Tunes character?
Oh boy.
So I think that it's like picking your favorite child, but I will say though, I think my favorite one would have to go to like Wile E. Coyote just because he not just in honor of Coyote versus Acme coming out in about a week or two from
That's right.
today, but also he's the kind of character that has the most rotten luck in the face in the history of ever, but he also doesn't give up because his luck's got to turn around sometime, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah. And his
and
luck, it looks like his luck is going to turn around, at least we hope, in Coyote versus Acme coming up here.
yeah, exactly. We'll get to that in a second, but Gavin, what about you? Who's your go-to?
Man, I always like my top five, generally speaking, it stays the same, but like it also like slightly fluctuates. Uh, I honest to God, like I'm not even just saying this to like piggyback off of you. Wile E. Coyote might be my favorite, honestly.
Huh.
Roadrunner's a close second. Wile E. and Roadrunner are like, they are my favorite. They're my favorite Looney Tunes to watch. Just because for me they provide some of the most consistent laughter I can get in a Looney Tune. But again, like you said about Wiley, man, you gotta love his determination. It's stubborn, but like he just, despite it all, despite how many failed attempts he's had, mistakes he's made, he keeps going. He keeps on chugging, and you gotta admire that about the Coyote. Yeah, man, I love Wiley. Again, Roadrunner is a close second, personally. Again, just because, again, the laugh, count that comes with that character, you gotta love like Roadrunner as like a troll character.
Mm-hmm.
Always just trolling the Coyote. And they'll just do like 3, 4, and 5 just for safe keeping here, I guess.
Yeah.
Number 3 would probably be Foghorn Leghorn. That's a character that actually grew on me as we did these sessions.
Yeah.
I love the humor that Robert McKimson brings to this character. And then probably number 4, Daffy Duck, and number 5, Bugs Bunny. There are numerous others too, beyond number 5, but those are my top 5. Those are the victors. So again, the list, it is, it goes on like a long ass grocery list, but those are my faves personally.
So if you wanted to expand into top 5, I guess I'll pitch it and say that
Yeah,
Wile E
yeah,
might
yeah.
be my number 1, while number 2 is actually on my phone case, Marvin the Martian.
Hell yeah.
Got that from Amazon. So if you want to
Nice.
do a little shopping, that is for sale. So
Yes.
Marvin the Martian is number 2. I think that kind of similar in a way to the Coyote. He just can't seem to win. And more deservedly so because he's trying to blow up the earth.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
in his terms, it distracts his view of Venus, right? And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's been I mean I think him going up, I just wish he had more cartoons than he actually got in the
That's
original,
fair.
like in the original lineup. He seems to have gotten more attention well after the original show's run was over.
Oh, for
So that
sure.
was
Yeah.
so but I think his like design and his voice just perfectly complement each other, and
Yeah.
he's always, I mean, Doug Dodgers in the 24th and a half century is an all-timer for me.
Such a good
So
cartoon.
so I guess that alone can tell a little bit about what it is that we love about Marvin the Martian.
Yeah.
As for number 3, it might be a bit of a curveball, but one I'm pretty happy with. Michigan J Frog.
Oh,
I
hell yeah, dude.
mean, one, A Froggy Evening, I think, is the greatest like Looney Tune of all time, if not
That's
like
one of the absolute best.
yeah, and it's such a perfect like harmony of like situational irony and comedy, and
Exactly.
the idea of the frog just singing to only whoever found him and nobody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Um, we'll
Profound
talk more.
stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that cartoon like some other time. But
Right.
there's so much to cover in terms of like who was all popular in which era, and
Right. Yeah.
with that comes a dark side to some of them. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go through every single one for the stream, but I would like to at least just pick up on some highlights just for the sake of this video and
For
perhaps maybe
sure.
get more people interested.
Yeah.
Uh, so so that's number 3, Michigan J Frog. Number 4 is always a bit of a hard one for me because that's kind of where I get a little lost. And I guess I'll
Yeah.
piggyback off you and say Daffy Duck might be my number 4 because he's like one of the most versatile characters.
Absolutely.
Like, because early on he's more seen as this like zany, wacky, hoo kooky being
Right.
who absolutely does, who annoys people out of every situation that Daffy gets himself in.
He's a goofball.
Right, and Bob Clampett, and that's most prominent in the Bob Clampett cartoons, I think.
Oh yeah.
That and the earlier Tex Avery cartoons, which we'll definitely talk more about Tex Avery's work at some other point. But fact of the matter is, Daffy he's gone through one hell of a one hell of a run. I mean, he started
He
off as
has.
the wacky Daffy Bird, then he became more of a jealous jerk, and then to straight up Yosemite Sam in the Patty Freeling cartoons.
Oh yeah.
But number 5. Hmm. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Because
Choose
there's a lot of
wisely.
right, exactly. And I have to kind of really think about how we want to go about it. Do I want to go by like in terms of how funny they are or how relatable they are, or
Spoiler alert, it's Bosco the Talking Kid. I kid.
Gavin,
Yeah.
Gavin, Gavin,
That
Gavin.
no, that no. I forget I said anything. Anyway.
No, it's actually not it's not Bosco, but
We'll talk about him later.
I hate to go generic again, but I guess Bugs Bunny, just because
No,
of
dude, hell yeah.
he's like perfect comfort food kind of
Yeah, dude. You know,
um
generally speaking, like, when you watch a Bugs Bunny cartoon, I do say generally speaking because there are a few duds and we know them. But generally speaking, when you watch a Bugs Bunny cartoon, you see him, nibbling on his carrot and hear him say, "What's up, Doc?" You know you're in for a good time.
You mentioned Bugs having a couple of duds. Can you name them by chance?
Oh, we've watched over 1,000, so it's sometimes difficult to keep track of all of them. But, um, uh, oh, what's the one where he was going uh he's saying, "I wish I was in Dixie."
Oh, Fresh Hair, and then
Fresh Hair was, oh boy.
so for me, Fresh Hair wasn't actually a bad cartoon. Honestly, like it was like a pretty like fairly generic like Elmer versus Bugs cartoon
Yeah.
because he's like he's wanted for certain like crimes or something, and then it's all in the snow, so it does stand out a little bit from some of his other joints. And it's
Mhm.
with fat Elmer Fudd to those who are not in the know. So
Yeah.
if that means anything to you. But that one is known for a particularly infamous ending where out of nowhere they begin performing in blackface.
Right.
So Bugs is about to be executed by Elmer Fudd after willingly turning himself in for what he's done with tormenting Elmer Fudd. And Elmer Fudd's like, okay, before you die, you can make one last wish. And then
Yeah.
Bugs is like, let's see. I wish I was in Dixie.
Yeah, yeah.
Hooray. And then the song keeps going, and then it just transitions from that setting to that setting.
Right.
And
Yeah, yeah. Ugh.
perfectly encapsulated by fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But besides that, though, it's not really that bad of a cartoon. It's just the ending that really like it's literally like crashing your way when you're almost about to cross the finish line, right?
That's the one that came closest to my head, mainly because I remember, us looking at like the different, edited endings and all that stuff.
So we have that.
Right.
Are there any other ones that are coming to your head? Like
I know there's a 2 out of 10 one that we watched, and I can't remember the name, but um it was pretty miserable. I do remember there being pretty blatant racism.
are you talking about the one where it's World War II and he's like going up against like a bunch of Japanese soldiers?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then so yeah, that was definitely not his strongest hour. But for me, I
Absolutely
think
not.
one of his weakest for me was Prehysterical Hair, simply because it was just such a broken mess of a cartoon. But
Yeah.
we're talking too much about the negative stuff, so we should probably talk more
I
about
was
the
gonna
good
say,
stuff.
yeah. I blame myself for bringing up the cartoon, but like,
No, it's okay. No,
no,
I
but
get it. I get
anyway,
it.
yeah,
Some of the stinkier ones are kind of some of the more fun ones to look at. I get
that's
it.
fair. But anyway,
So are there any like specific cartoons that you want to like kind of highlight and just kind of talk about your like thoughts on them, the ones that stick out to you?
for sure. I want to lay mention to uh, and I'll just say it outright because it's not much of a secret. To us at least. But my favorite Looney Tune of all time, and again, maybe a hot take, maybe I'm overselling it a little bit, but my favorite Looney Tune of all time, in my opinion, I want to boldface and highlight that. In my opinion, uh, Bob Clampett's The Old Gray Hair. It is it. Man, something about it just I it's the one that I have rewatched like our reaction to the most times. Um and just rewatched in general. It's so goddamn funny. And it's, the best part too is that it's not just like, a bunch of like laughs like tossed at the screen. Like it's a legitimately fun and funny premise. Like the whole time warp, that them being like younger and the whole like time trap like warp thing and
hmm
them I again like just the idea of like a baby like Bugs Bunny and like Elmer Fudd just like going at each other and all the way up to the ending. That is just brilliance. And no one does sheer deranged lunacy. No one brings the Looney and Looney Tunes, at least for me, out better than Bob Clampett. The dude understood how to make people laugh, and his stuff is crazy, but like it's organized chaos. I think it is. It's often chaotic, but I love again, I love when I can just like be totally like disarmingly, purely entertained by the sheer lunacy of everything going on in this play. With Old Gray Hair, with Book Review, which is also one of my faves. And again, like the list really just goes on and on. Things like Tortoise Wins by a Hair. He has done, again, like the dude has done so much, even some of his earlier stuff. I mean, he's had some duds, to be sure. Most every Looney Tunes director has.
And they were okay. I'm kidding.
No. That I can like, they're there. I have to like jog memory, but like they exist for sure. But Old Gray Hair is, again, such a great classic example of how to do a hilarious premise right in all the best ways. Also, I am extremely partial to a tilt gag. So if any of you who indulge in Looney Tunes history like us know about the tilt gag, then you know why I love this shit. So yeah, Old Gray Hair is my personal favorite. Again, maybe a hot take, but like people have got their What's Opera Doc. People have got their Rabbit Season and all that stuff. But I again, for me personally, and again, I love all of those. I love, like, a lot of those that I mentioned are like 10 out of 10 cartoons. But for me, Old Gray Hair has that quality to it that just makes it like I could totally watch this like 5-10 more times, like on repeat, and not get tired of it.
And that brings me to the other thing that I think is interesting to mention, like, because we both, and I've realized this as we went along, we kind of have like different like ideas for what make like golden cartoons, like what we look for in these cartoons. Because you're more after like the humor for the most part, like you're more after like big like belly laughs or like visual gags or things like that don't make sense in the best way.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I mentioned One Froggy Evening as my favorite, specifically because of like how multifaceted it really is as a cartoon for me. Like, because for me, I think it's really, really hard for like an animation, like let alone like a movie, to really kind of make you feel all sorts of different things and yet still come out with like a big like, wow, that was incredible. Because in the case of One Froggy Evening, and I hate to bring it up again, but we have the frog who is the one that's like gonna go do the whole hello my baby in front of the front of the person who in front of the person who finds him, and then he's like, oh my god, this is a freaking moneymaker right there. But on one hand, you can see like how you can view that as like some dude just trying to kind of share something extraordinary to the world. But on another hand, you can also see, oh, I gotta exploit this frog and make all the money I can.
Yeah.
And in turn, the frog, you can see him as the protagonist for, kind of overcoming literally every single obstacle in his way and humiliating anybody.
It's very metaphorically layered. And One Froggy, and for clarity for everyone tuning in here, One Froggy Evening is number 2 on my top Looney Tunes like list. Like it's number 2 best for me. I love One Froggy Evening. And I know, as TVS here mentioned, and rightfully so, mainly what I'm looking for in Looney Tunes in terms of like what I, appreciate are like big value laughs, just being like completely disarmed in the best way by like how ridiculous and like just rapid fire some of the gags are. That being said, you gotta appreciate craft where craft is due. And One Froggy Evening is like a perfect example of that. Again, it's so metaphorically layered. It's Michigan J Frog. He may not have cracked my top 5, but he's definitely in my top 10. And later he would return in a not as remarkable cartoon like the mid-90s or whatever, which it was fine, but it has nowhere near the same staying power as One Froggy Evening. And again, there is a reason that cartoon is so memed to death, is so like the whole like "hello my baby" moment is so like widely circulated in popular culture. It's timeless, and again, like it is such a deeply layered. It's my favorite Chuck Jones cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck Jones is probably my favorite director of them all. I know that sounds like a very generic answer to say, but I
No, dude,
mean,
it's a good answer.
he's got like it never really occurred to me just like how much great cartoons he really had in terms of how much of an impact they would have on not just Looney Tunes but animation. Like, I
Right.
mean, Rabbit Fire, for example, that's like probably the single most iconic Looney Tune of all time, simply because of the innovation of Wabbit season, Duck season, Wabbit
I
season,
feel
Duck
like
season.
I feel like anyone who knows and appreciates animation, like knows that scene. Like that is such
Yeah,
a widely like again, like that is such a widely circulated, joke. And it's been parodied by so many like, other forms of media, animated or otherwise, like My Little Pony Friends Magic parodied it. Like I'm dead serious. Like
yeah.
there's a scene in I think the second season where Pinky is negotiating with this this seller at a market, and they're talking about like how many bits like this produce should cost, and she's like 1 bit, and the seller's like 3 bits and 1 bit, and it's a whole like rabbit season, duck season thing. Like I'm telling you,
Mhm.
like when even like My Little Pony can reference shit like that, your work is timeless.
Good old reverse psychology. It works
Hell
every
yeah.
time.
Yes. Duck season fire.
Whoosh.
That will never not be
Yeah.
funny.
I mean, who am I kidding? I mean, there's also like we haven't even mentioned like the other directors. Like we talked a lot about Bob Clampett and Chuck Jones, but we talked a little bit about Robert McKimson in brief with raw with Foghorn Leghorn, but he also helped create Speedy Gonzales and
Right.
Sylvester Jr.
Yes.
Um,
Tasmanian Devil.
yes. Oh yeah, thank you for mentioning it.
Yeah.
So Foghorn is your favorite character of his, right?
Yes.
Because Coyote was Jones, Roadrunner was Jones,
Mhm.
Daffy Duck was, I think that was like Tex Avery and Bob Clampett.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Tex Avery
Convo.
though.
Yeah.
Well, Bugs Bunny was like the final version of Bugs Bunny was created by Tex Avery. So
Right.
yeah, we should probably mention him too because he
Oh yeah.
also was integral to Looney Tunes as we know it today, especially with one of my favorite kinds of cartoons, so to those who are tuning in, we're talking about Tex Avery, and we're talking about his earlier cartoons, like pre MGM.
Yeah.
Um, and when he was at Warner Brothers, he would do a genre of cartoons called the travelogue parodies, in
Oh
which
yes.
so picture like you're like watching like literally like a travel video of sorts, going around like the big cities or big landscapes. Picture that, but with a bunch of like visual like gags and just like puns. That's basically what he did.
Those are some of my favorite ones. And I'm not even just saying because we're talking about them. I mean, they are so like, and Tex Avery was like a master in that.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he not even just like in terms of like vocations, but like travelogue in this case like means multiple things. There's the one where uh uh they're touring the zoo or whatever, and you see all these
Yeah.
different like zoo animals with different gags and clever like things they do and all that good stuff. And again, Avery was a master in that. He was really one of my favorites. I'm going to lay mention to real fast. One of my favorites of Avery's that kind of takes that formula. And again, this is a very hot take, so you'll have to again, if you know Looney Tunes and you hear this, don't get heart palpitations. But I Ceiling Hero is absolutely disarmed me. Ceiling Hero is like I understand it's not like high art, but it is in every way like what I'm biased. It's what I look for in a Looney Tune. It is a 10 out of 10. Lower rung 10 out of 10 to be sure, but it is a 10 out of 10. I don't think and TVS can vouch for me on this. I don't think I've laughed quite as hard as I did during the Eat Tony's Hot Dogs gag.
Okay, so to those who don't know, there's a visual gag in a lot of cartoons, not just Warner Brothers, where it could be like any like slapstick gag that happens to a character or an object or whatever. Where the one thing they would have in common is that the words "Eat at Joe's"
Yes.
would come up on screen. Wouldn't matter how they would, but it would just come up, just like
They appear
that.
like that, yeah, out of random.
Ceiling Hero takes it a step further and instead does Eat Tony's Hot Dogs as if
Yeah,
we have
which
any
is like
idea what the hell that means,
such a
right?
bold swing from Eat It Joe's. Like what are Tony's hot dogs? Clearly that's something that the crew knows because they were like, they put it in there, but like the gag is so like it's gonna alienate like everyone like who watches it today. Like that's what's so goddamn funny about it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we're like the only two people that enjoy the cartoon this much.
No, listen,
So,
I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. It is again, it's I'm not saying it's like high art or anything. But again, it made me laugh stupidly hard. And that again to me is one of the most important characteristics of a Looney Tune. So again, I very biased opinion here, but God loves Ceiling Hero. But we were talking about Avery, so I'll track back to that. Again, Avery, again, masterclass of the travelogue parody, like you mentioned. Um, and he has done like a lot of really good cartoons, even like outside of that. I mean, maybe not every single one of them are perfect, but like a lot of them like have left a really good impression on me. There's a reason, again, he's talked so much in animation circles.
well, and I was just gonna also mention too that Um, I'll probably mention it a little bit more in the end, but we have ideas for what we're gonna do next. But we'll get to that like toward the end of the stream, I
Right.
think. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not expecting this to go on for very long, honestly, just
Yeah.
because there's some other stuff that I would like for us to go over some other time, just to kind of
Right.
see
Right.
like
Yeah. And we don't
because
have to
for
do it all here.
context, we both recorded all of our reactions to these cartoons, as
Yes.
well as our updated thoughts.
Yeah.
So where I think we kind of messed up was that we watched them like mostly out of order, and I think we've done it, we course corrected later on, but
Right.
if I had known how this would end up, I probably would have started the cartoons like literally just started watching them from the beginning to the very end. Um,
Hmm.
just
Oh,
so
dude. Hang
things would
tight.
make a little more sense then.
So
Ah, there we go. I
sorry.
don't know what the hell happened there.
Yeah, I kind of lost you
Um,
for a second. My apologies.
yeah, no, I did too. That was weird.
Maybe
Um,
it's my Comcast Wi-Fi.
but
I don't know.
anywho, yeah, I mean, it was affecting me too, so I don't think it was just your Wi-Fi.
No, but oh, okay, maybe it
But
was just StreamYard being so. Anyway,
um, yeah. Well, fact of the matter is, had I known how we were gonna do things in the end, I probably would have done it in chronological order. But that's okay. These don't really have set continuity anyway.
right. What matters most is that we
So
watched all of
we
them.
right, and we examined them enough to kind of say, okay, that doesn't really matter.
Hmm.
So the order bit, not
Right, right,
well,
yeah.
what you said earlier. Um, but we did record like every single cartoon that we watched and reacted to. So I can't say for sure, mainly because of the copyright issue with Warner Brothers, but there's a possibility that I might upload some of our reactions just to see, um, how people might respond to them, and if there's anything that you might be interested in taking a look at. You're more than
For
welcome
sure.
to shoot us any suggestions, or perhaps like maybe not like re-reviews, but just like kind of like our like experiences that we've had with
Yeah,
these cartoons in question. So,
definitely.
and that kind of brings me to the next thing is, did you like grow up with the Looney Tunes like in your childhood or anything?
Um, so not extensively, but I do recall watching stuff like, and we've talked about this, in private. Uh like I do remember occasionally, like, having Cartoon Network on like at like 6 in the morning, and they would always have Looney Tunes on. Like, it's like that was the first thing they would show at 6 in the morning.
Hmm.
Um uh and for a certain amount of time. And I don't remember every Looney Tune that I watched in that time period, but I do remember some. I remember Gift Wrapped, the Sylvester and Tweety one set around Christmas. I do remember seeing, because I do like really like clearly recall like Granny going like, spit it out, spit it out, spit it out. And um I yeah, that's just a core memory for me. But yeah, that's a big one. I also recall, oh, there were a few Bugs Bunny ones too. Again, I
Oh,
can't
really?
place them. Yeah, there were a few Bugs Bunny ones. I wish I could remember the titles, but I can't for the life of me. But but one that I remember, I don't know why, I feel like I remember seeing this one like repeated a lot. Um, the Solid Tin Coyote. Now, let me tell you people something. I'm gonna keep it brief because I'm not gonna like. Yeah, I feel like I'm trailing, a lot talking about cartoons, but I want to mention real fast. Um, Again, supremely hot take. I will not waver from this. And call it nostalgia or whatever, or my love and admiration for Wile E and Roadrunner. Solid 10 is a 10 out of 10 for me. The Solid 10 Coyote. Um, I again, I will not waver from that. Call it nostalgia, call it whatever. Again, I'm not saying it's high art, but there is a certain, chintzy charm to the Rudy LaRiva cartoons with Wile E and Roadrunner for me. Like, they're cheap, they reuse elements in animation, uh, until they like can't anymore.
Hmm.
But I with those, I'm like a glass half full kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I again, I love Wile E and Roadrunner, you know, too much to really truly dislike any of them. But like, and some are better than others. But I, not, maybe not for others again, but like for me, in those ones, there's a weird charm and admirable clumsiness to them that I really do appreciate, even if they are strained for budget.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna also mention that you're probably like the first person I've met that's enjoyed the Rudy LaRiva directed Roadrunner cartoons this much.
Hey, I'll take it.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, I will not
I mean,
waver in that.
no disrespect, no disrespect, no,
Yeah.
yeah, but because I watched those as a kid too. Those that come on Cartoon Network. I had the Super Genius Hijinks DVD as a kid, and I still have it now.
Yes.
But I remember like watching those a lot as a kid. I mean, like I said, comfort food. But
Yes.
now obviously I'm old enough to kind of know. Okay, so those ones aren't like the classics that were done by Chuck Jones or whoever. But in your case, though, I mean, like you said, it's like got that weird like charm to it that just spoke a lot of volumes to you.
Yes.
And yeah, honestly, there I would much rather you have that than kind of join in the bandwagon and be all like, this cartoon sucks because they say so, you know.
Right, right. I try to be honest with my, with my reviews and
And
takes.
that's good.
So
Yeah.
that's always like of utmost importance to me. But yeah, man.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too that the if I were to have like a big, I mean, Ceiling Hero is probably like my biggest like guilty pleasure, and I put this in air quotes because nobody like really hates that cartoon,
Right.
but that's like the one that I think I'm probably me, you and me are probably the ones that enjoy it that much. Um,
Yes.
and going through my list, because I actually what I ended up doing was I ended up making a complete letterbox list of every Looney Tunes cartoon ranked on my side, and I'll link that in the description once the stream is finished. So
Yes.
actually I'll probably go public with it right now. So let me do that. But no, I mean, are there like any like is there how do you feel about the kind of going historical mode here? Who's your like what's your favorite era and like least favorite era?
My favorite era, probably like, oh, probably in terms of just like what I enjoyed, like late 40s to mid 50s. And
Hmm.
I think that's a general consensus, honestly, because that's when a lot of the best Looney Tunes, at least I think, really came into fruition. You had a lot of classic, like One Froggy Evening, um, the list goes on. But um, that was where Looney Tunes, I think, were really starting to like get their kicks, and a lot of the classic ones that many people know and love are a part of that pack. So um, that's my personal favorite. My least favorite, probably, man, it probably like the late 20s or early 30s. Like the
Oh,
Bosco
really?
and Buddy stuff. Now, granted, I was pretty partial to Bosco Shipwrecked. That's my favorite of the Bosco cartoons personally. For again personal reasons that I won't delve into here. But you know, I you know, and I understand that they were like that they would soon evolve into what would soon become, better Looney Tunes with like more budget and, creative control, I guess. But man, you watch like some of the early Bosco and Buddy stuff, and it is just crude. A lot of it is just song and dance with like little narratives, function. Um, and they all kind of follow the same repetitive formula. Um, and again, some are better than others, but like, and again, they would get better, but again, but the word of the day for those is just crude. You watch them and some of them are all right, but like others just feel so damn unremarkable and
Hmm.
very again, I get that it was a time period, so primitive, but again, a lot of them are just like movement, 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 sound, sound, sound without much to keep me, interested or awake really. And again, there are exceptions, but like m- there's a lot of it that it to me just kind of like feels pretty weak.
Sure. I mean, I get. I mean, I get why you don't look at those kinds of cartoons that fondly, but for me, I guess I'm a little more receptive to them just because I just kind of like got like the historical context that this is like a
Right,
very early form of animation,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
since it was such a rather new format or medium at the time, they kind of opted to experiment with it. Which, yeah, I get what you mean though, with like not really telling much of a story, like a Steamboat Willie, for example. Like,
Right.
that's probably like one of the better examples of like the early Mickey Mouse stuff. They kind of had their footing well before everybody else did. I mean, who am I kidding?
Yeah.
It's
No,
Walt
yeah.
Disney, so
Right.
um
Yeah.
but I will say though, I think the weakest era by far, and I know that's gonna sound like such a cliche thing to say, would easily be the Seven Arts animation era for me, just
No,
because.
that's almost a close second, and I say almost because the Wily and Roadrunner ones I'm partial to. But dude, that is not far
Well,
behind.
that
Some of
was
that,
the Patty
yeah.
Freeling era, so Seven Arts doesn't even have that. It's like
Oh wait, you're talking about.
that's the one with the cool cat and Merlin the Magic
Oh, okay. I was
Mouse.
thinking. Okay, yeah, I get those two confused. God damn it. Okay, but no, yes, but that is a close second, personally.
But fact of the matter is, I excuse me. So and the '60s had like much more different circumstances where the budgets were, very very tight. The gags weren't as funny. They would cycle a lot with some pretty
Right.
crappy new characters or duos that didn't work, like Daffy Duck going against Speedy Gonzalez.
That
Like,
was stupid. I'm sorry. That never should have been a
God.
combo in the first place.
I mean, putting it this way, it wasn't even like the animator's idea to begin with. It was literally solely based on the decision of Warner Brothers and the studio executives who were working, like whatever, like CBS, ABC,
Right.
NBC, whatever the hell it was. So that was like they were kind of doomed from the start, and them calling the shots was like that was kind of what suffocated those 1960s shorts ultimately. And I'm talking
Yeah.
like talk about the ones that spawned from 64 to 69.
Yes.
And that's probably why they tried to come up with new characters in the Seven Arts era, but they still didn't work just because I mean I can't fault them for trying, but like
No, for sure. But like they yeah, again, dude, those Speedy and Daffy combo ones, they just again, why were they even like put together in the first place? Like that is not that's like mixing oil and water, dude.
let me put it another way. For that pairing to work, you would have to have the most talented writers and directors in the world. And these did not have the most talented writers and directors in the world.
Yeah, like no disrespect, but like you gotta like that's pretty threadbare.
So yeah, it was just a losing battle. But back to the Bosco era. Bosco is an interesting case for me because I don't think he's like the worst thing that Looney Tunes has ever put out. Far from it. But like I can understand why you would have like, a hard time with him because these cartoons are very, very, very repetitive. And I mean, and like you said, they got better like toward the end, but
Yeah.
but Bosco does unfortunately bear the resemblance of other things. Let's just put it that way.
Right. And if you've seen Bosco, you know.
Yeah, you'll know exactly what we mean. But Hugh Harman and Rudolph Ising they're definitely pioneers of the animation medium,
Oh, without a
but
doubt.
and it's a shame that they're not as like regarded as like Chuck Jones and company just because they kind of knew how to get things going before anybody else did, besides Walt Disney and Ub Iwerks and some of the other animators.
Yes.
But I mean, you got to remember, this was like the early 1930s. The Great Depression was in full swing, and
Right.
everybody was going to the movie theater at that time.
That's what I mean,
So
man. Everyone was like looking to escape.
right, and then you, I mean, I mentioned Buddy, and you had like a very like funny like saying about him when I mentioned Buddy.
Let me tell you something about Buddy right here, right now. Okay, I'm having a brain fart. What did I say about Buddy?
You kind of said like the challenge here is to make someone more insufferable than Bosco or
Okay,
something.
no, yeah. They listen. They there was definitely like there was definitely a challenge there, like to make a character that made Bosco seem fairly fairly tolerable by comparison. And by God, they did it. But yeah, dude, Buddy is like Buddy is for me is Looney Tunes character hell. I am sorry. I get that it was, I get that they were like pioneering stuff at the time, but I'm already not a big fan of Bosco at all, really. But at least Bosco had Bosco shipwrecked. and a few like solid 7s and
I
6s.
mean, Bosco Picture Show is like my favorite of Bosco's. That was his last cartoon, funnily enough. So
Yeah, yeah, but man, Buddy just feels like what Buddy feels like, and I don't know. This is just like we live in this age, so I'm gonna say it. Um, but Buddy feels like if ChatGPT was instructed to like make a Looney Tune character from that era based on Bosco.
yeah, I mean that's a good way of putting it too, because a lot of like the the Buddy cartoons often recycled plots from past Bosco and Merry Melodies cartoons that you might as well kind of say like though Bosco's love interest name is Cookie, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's oh god. Yeah,
Cookie, more
man.
like Kooky.
Yeah. Like as a Wow Wow Wubsy character very eloquently said, that's kooky. Um, but oh, good lord, dude. Yeah, Bosco. Like again, I already don't love Bosco, but I'd watch his cartoons again over Buddy. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. But that being said, though, I think when once like Porky Pig entered the scene in 35, that was like when the sparks of life were starting to come through, and
Yes.
they definitely capitalized on it, and how how far Looney Tunes would come since then. I think it paid off.
Oh yeah.
But that being said, I will say though, kudos to Frizz Freeling in particular for sticking around for as long as he did. He started like back in the harmonizing days, and then went all the way up to the Patty Freeling days, and then decided to kind of just call it quits and focus more on Pink Panther and more original
Right.
characters for United Artists.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like I might have to, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of like running out of things to say just because I have kind of exhausted a lot of like some of the talking points that other people have said.
No,
I'm
dude.
just bouncing on.
We've kind of hit all the checklist points.
We did, didn't we? So I guess. I mean, do you have any other thoughts you want to get out before?
I mean, not particularly. I mean, again, like we talked about like some of our faves, our least faves. Um and there are more things that, we will eventually discuss in like future, video sessions, whatever. Uh but but honestly, yeah, I think we covered our bases. And uh I was gonna make a joke there about baseball bugs, but I didn't really land anyway.
That's
But
another
yeah,
good
dude,
cartoon, actually.
that's the first one we watched.
Yeah, yeah, it was because I'll say this real quick. We actually
Yeah.
went through the DVDs and Blu-rays first, and then the ones that didn't make it to DVD and Blu-ray
Yes.
afterward.
Yes.
So that was how we covered our bases for the most part.
Yes.
I will say though, I will shortly after this video is published, I will link my letterbox ranking list in the description below. So you guys
Yes.
can look at the list for yourself, as well as perhaps maybe link my letterbox account and your letterbox account,
Yes.
and all that good stuff. So if you want to check out more of like what we do outside of this, you're more than welcome to.
Yes.
And if there's any like directors specifically that are kind of like hitting you guys, anybody who's watching this, you're more than welcome to pitch in the comments, and we'll take a look for like potential reviews or reaction uploads or whatever have you, because we have everything recorded. We just haven't published anything just because we kind of wanted to do all this first, set some ground rules.
Right.
But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, concerns, let us know in the comments down below. And sorry, this was kind of like a little like slapdash together, but I think for a first like public stream, I think we did a pretty okay job.
No, honestly, we hit a lot of talking points, and I feel like if we went any longer than this, we'd just kind of like be exhausting ourselves. So
Yeah.
but yeah, no, dude, I think this went pretty well.
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. And if you guys like more of the stuff, please share it around. Please like consider hitting that sub button for
Yeah, I know it's
future
I know it's
videos.
a corny thing to say, hit that subscribe, like, but like genuinely, like that's how the word
Yeah.
spreads, and that's how more people get to know like what we do. So if you like this, tell a friend, and have that friend tell their friend, and create a chain reaction of people who um you know watch our dumb fun stuff.
Yeah, right. And I mean, again, I'm not sure how far along this will go, but we're gonna do the best we can. So
Yeah, we
thank you
are.
guys for even taking the time to look at this.
Yeah,
So I guess that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. We'll probably have more to say sometime down the road. But for
yeah,
right now, I think the year-long project has been officially put back in the bottle. And
yes,
stay tuned for the next video.
yes. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Truly,
That's all, folks.
that is all, folks.